discussing possible changes to our Second Amendment rights as President Obama makes his case for gun control in America. Welcome to America Live, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. The president wrapping up remarks just a short time ago to an audience that included family members of the Newtown, Connecticut victims, as well as gun safety advocates, law enforcement, and 4 children who wrote him letters in the wake of the Newtown tragedy. He signed 23 separate executive actions on gun violence and then essentially told Congress that they have to pick up the ball from here.
This is our first task as a society, keeping our children safe. In the month since 20 precious children and 6 brave adults were violently taken from us at Sandy Hook Elementary, more than 900 of our fellow Americans have reportedly died at the end of a gun. Now, these are a few of the 23 executive actions that I'm announcing today. But as important as these steps are, they are in no way a substitute for action from members of Congress. Congress should restore a ban on military-style assault weapons and a 10-round limit for magazines. And finally, Congress needs to help rather than hinder law enforcement as it does its job.
Chris Direwalt is our Fox News digital politics editor and host of Power Play on foxnews.com. So, Chris, the president outlined numerous executive actions that he wants taken and that will be taken. And as we discussed yesterday, they don't sound particularly controversial. It's that second part that we just played, the push for legislative action on matters that are controversial, that is likely to make the headlines over the coming days and weeks, no?
No, absolutely. And if you look at what was in there, it wasn't a lot. Look, there are some things that could be far-reaching, but then it also includes other things like reiterating that his 2010 health insurance entitlement program that he calls Obamacare, that doesn't prevent doctors from saying that, releasing somebody's mental health condition to prevent them from getting a gun. Well, that doesn't do anything. That doesn't mean anything. That's just reiterating. So a lot of this was puff and fluff that he wanted to say, I'm signing these things, I'm doing these things. But he made it very clear, very, very clear, that what he means to do is turn the pressure up on Congress, starting with his own party, I'm sure, to pass a gun ban of some kind.
And you know, we heard precious little in the executive actions or in the remarks today about the mental health system. I guess they're going to study it. The CDC is going to study it. They may study video games if they get the money that the president wants them to get, $10 million from Congress as well. But this was all focused on guns, and the push that he's going to make legislatively will look, from the sound of it, very much like the assault weapons ban that was in place from 94 to 2004, but perhaps stronger.
And we don't
it sounds like that he wants to strengthen, that was the word that was used, strengthen.
Well, no good.
The bill that's been proposed by Senator Dianne Feinstein.
If somebody wants to kill.
And if he got what he wanted, it would be the farthest reaching gun ban or form of gun control that we've seen. And, you know, the interesting thing for the president is this. We know where the Republicans are. The Republicans don't want gun bans. They're open to some background check kind of stuff or some things that streamline or make more effective or deal with mental health. But when it comes to banning particular weapons outside of the long-standing pre-existing ban against automatic weapons, it's up to the president now, if he really wants to get this done, to keep the pressure on members of his own party who are backed by the NRA. Remember, the NRA is 60% of everybody who's in Congress now, so that includes a lot of Democrats got money from the NRA.
Mm-hmm. And Harry Reid was suggesting yesterday that they don't have the votes in the Senate, that this legislation would have to start in the Senate, and he doesn't have the votes. He has the majority, the Democrats do, and if he doesn't have the votes, Chris, this legislation isn't going anywhere. So how much of today's proceedings were for the benefit of those Democrats who may not be on board with the president's plan right now?
Harry Reid, Joe Manchin from West Virginia, Bob Casey from Pennsylvania. The aim for the president now is to find these NRA-backed Democrats and squeeze them and put the pressure on and say, are you uncomfortable when I bring little children up here to talk about school play shootings? Well, I could do it in your state, or I could do it where you live, and I could come and I could keep the pressure on you until you agree to do some kind of a gun ban, until you get on board. Because remember this, Megyn, and you hit it right on the head. If the president can't get legislation out of the Senate, he can't begin to apply pressure on the House. He can talk about it, but until the Senate can actually move legislation, it's not going to work. So somebody like Joe Manchin, who we first met on the national scene, shooting with a deer rifle, the president's cap and trade bill back in 2010.
Yeah.
If he can't get guys like that to sign up and get on board, nothing's going to happen. So I bet he'll come with a pretty heavy hand.
He's a West Virginia guy, Joe mentioned. You're a West Virginia guy. West
That's the
Virginia
truth.
is not going to get behind a gun ban. You tell me if I'm wrong, but what are the odds of Joe Manchin doing a reversal on this? I know there's been some language that he said that, it's been a little more moderate on the issue, but what are the odds of that happening?
Well, there's a term that we have in West Virginia. It's called to crawfish. He's crawfishing. That means that when you move back real slow, and you crawfish back out of something. And it is possible that you could crawfish on something like this, and you could say that in the wake of this. The other thing, remember, he just got reelected, so he's got 6 years to try to make good if he thinks this is the case. Casey in Pennsylvania is somebody the president can give much more pressure to, because while a lot of his state looks a lot like West Virginia, a lot of his state is Appalachian, and Western Pennsylvania we know loves hunting, and we know is a Second Amendment enthusiastic region. Philadelphia, a lot of gun ban enthusiasts there, the Metro Philly area. So that could be a lot of pressure for Casey. For Reed, I don't know what you do.
Why would these guys put themselves on the line and take a vote like that when they probably do not see it passing in the House? So now you're really exposed. It's sort of like when Pelosi tried to push cap and trade through the House, and all these people took these dangerous votes, and there weren't the votes in the Senate. And it is the reverse. If these people in the Senate don't think they're the votes in the House, why would they want to do this?
Well, because they want the president to stop beating up on them, and to stop pressuring them, and to stop bringing school children out, and stop asking why they don't care about gun violence, and putting the pressure on. We have never seen the president do much in terms of policing his own party. Will the president get them to move on entitlement reform, or what's he going to get them to do? The president's kept most of his focus on Republicans throughout his time. But in this case, if he wants pressure on Republicans, he's got to get these moderate Democrats from these red states to move first. He's got to get them to go first. He's got to get Harry Reid to go first. So today was a warning.
Yeah, as they say politically, he would love to go into the 2014 midterms by saying, once again, those House Republicans, did the wrong thing in the president's view. But right now, the way it's looking, he's not going to be able to do that because the democratically controlled Senate does not appear on board right now.